So the story of Savitri comes to us at present from the Mahabharata. And as I said, according to Sri Aurobindo, the original story goes back to the Veda. But what it was like in the Veda, we don't know because it was lost. But if we look at the story as it comes to us from the Mahabharata, it is appearing in what is called the Vana Parva. Vana Parva is the chapter on the forest. And this has to do with the period of exile of the Pandavas. So the 5 brothers and Draupadi, their wife, are exiled because the eldest brother plays this game of dice and loses, and they have to be in exile for 12 years. And if they get recognized, then they've forfeited their kingdom. But if they don't get recognized, of course, they can come back. They don't get back their kingdom, but they can come back. So during this period of exile, Draupadi, their wife, becomes abducted. She's abducted actually by the husband of the sister of the Kauravas. Her name is Dushala. She's the one daughter of the 100, one sister of the 100 brothers. So she's married to this king of Sindh. It's called Sindhu, which is the river. So, and he is a ally of the Kauravas, and he manages to kidnap Draupadi. And then he tempts her and, offers her the kingdom and all kinds of things to wean her away and essentially marry her or somehow get her out of this Pandavas. And she refuses and manages to get back to the Pandavas. So the eldest brother is asking a sage, he's recounting the story, and he says, Draupadi, he's really guilty. He's very sad for what he has made his wife go through. And he says, is there a woman more virtuous than Draupadi? And so the sage says, Draupadi is truly virtuous. And let me tell you a story of virtue from the past. And he tells the story of Savitri. So this is how the story of Savitri comes to us. And it is seen by later generations as a kind of a conventional tale of women who should be loyal to their husbands. But Sri Aurobindo turns the entire story into another dimension. So in the original tale also, there are other elements in it which are more to do with the conventions of the time. I'd say patriarchal conventions. So what happens there is that the father of Savitri, Ashwapati, he is a king. He's not shown as a yogi there. He's a king, but he has no children, no heirs. And this is a kind of a common trope. Kings have to look for heirs. And if they don't have children, they have to do something to beget a son. So he goes through this 18-year austerity to beget a son and to be granted a son. And at the end of the 18 years, this austerity is being conducted to a goddess. And that goddess is Savitri. Savitri is a goddess, a consort of Brahma in the early Indian cycles. In fact, she is what the Veda calls Gayatri. See, Gayatri, after which comes the mantra, Gayatri mantra, is really an invocation to Savitri. So the Gayatri Mantra is asking for the light of Savitri to illuminate the aspirant, actually calling on it to illuminate the intelligence, to turn the intelligence into a solar intelligence of the solar light. And so his prayers or his austerities are offered to this goddess, and this goddess appears at the end of 18 years, and he says that I beg you to, give me an heir, a son. And she says, I'm not going to give you a son, I'm going to give you a daughter. So Savitri is born to this king, Ashwapati. And then the story unfolds in the sense that some of the same things happen. Savitri is too powerful for, you see, at that time what used to happen is, first some neighboring king would come and offer himself or his son, the prince, in marriage to a princess. And nobody comes forth to offer their son in marriage to Savitri because she's too powerful. They're kind of scared of her. So the next level is that the king throws what is called a Swayamvara. Swayamvara is a kind of a competition. That's how Draupadi was won by the 5 brothers. So princes come and they carry out some sort of a, some kind of a obstacle or some sort of, challenge. And whoever wins that gets to marry the princess. So there is no Swayamvara in her case either. So the father comes to her and says one day, look, nobody's coming forward for you. So if you want a husband, go out into the world and find a husband for yourself. And she gets into her chariot and goes out, and in the deep woods finds an exiled prince, a prince whose father has been exiled, and they live there. And on first sight, there is love, and she comes back and says, I've given my heart, this is the person I want to marry. And when she's there, when she returns, out there in the kingdom, in the court of the king, is Narad. Narad is a sage, a kind of a heavenly sage, a minstrel, and a devotee of Vishnu. And he has the power of prophetic sight. So he's there in the court, and also he has a reputation of bad news, of giving bad news. So he's out there, and she lands up, and she says, I've given my heart to this beautiful prince in the forest. And he says, oh no, bad news. He's going to die in a year's time. So then there is this idea, take back your word. There's many others, go again, look again. And she says, no, my word once given is given. So even there, we find that in the case of Narad, he says, no, she should do, this is her fate. He said, this is her fate, let her live with it. And so everybody accepts it, they know, or they've received this kind of news, and then the story unfolds that yes, she gets married, in a year the husband dies, and she confronts death and receives a couple of boons from him, and the final boon is the life of her husband. So this is the story. Sri Aurobindo turns the story into a story of what we just discussed. of the fact that this entire incident is just a way by which the Supreme Divine Mother confronts death and wins a victory over death. This is the story. And as we discussed earlier, this is because death is sort of the bedrock, the inconscient, which constitutes the deepest forgetting, the deep forgetting of consciousness. And in that sense, it is a kind of awakening of consciousness in its deepest grounds. And the Divine Mother represents that, and this is the way in which she makes that happen. Now, in Sri Aurobindo's case, Ashwapati, the king, is a yogi. And as he points out over here in, I think book 3, in book 2, it is the canto called The Secret Knowledge. See? So you'll find this is pages don't turn here. In fact, it's in book 1, canto 4. So this entire section is talking about Ashwapati. So it starts with the yoga of the king, which is canto 3, and then there's this interlude called the secret knowledge. And the essence of the secret knowledge is some of what we just discussed in the first session, which is the idea of the two worlds, the two hemispheres, that there is a world in which the Supreme Being and its energy are like the two in one. They are together. They are one being and one consciousness, one conscious being. But this separates into the being and the consciousness. And they enter into a domain where they're separate. And the consciousness is in search of the being, and the being grows up in the consciousness. So this is the essence of the divine knowledge, or the secret knowledge. And that is what Sri Aurobindo is, it's his message, really, that these are the two worlds, and the two worlds, on the one hand, are the same, and on the other hand, are split from one another. And to connect the two, combine the two, is the work of humanity. And that's the work that we need to accomplish. So Ashwapati realizes that. This is the secret knowledge that he gets. As a yogi, he comes to know that this divided life that we live, so this division, when we are talking about the division can be thought of in a number of ways. One division is what we experience right here in the fact that we are different entities. We are divided entities. We talked about the scattering or dispersal of being into its particles. See? So that is a division. But a deeper way of thinking about the division is that inside each particle, as we said, the particle is a form of the inconscient. But inside each particle is a portion of the divine. Because the whole has split into these particles, but the whole is still there in the particle. That's the portion of the divine that's in each particle. So the particles themselves, which constitute a kind of forgetting, have their own memory of returning, and that memory is creating a graded process of evolution. In the graded process of evolution, we find automatic laws are at work. The laws of physics, the laws of chemistry, these are laws. That's why, the entire modern age is started by this intuition that with our reason we can understand the laws of the world, because these laws are governed by some kind of reason. So we find that laws of automatic processes govern reality in its ascension in consciousness. Apart from laws of matter, there are laws of life. There are laws of the mind. So at each level we are seeing laws. But also as consciousness rises, at each level we are seeing more and more of something unpredictable. That is consciousness itself. What is conscious cannot be predicted. Only the unconscious can really be predicted, because it is run by laws. So this way of thinking about the duality is that there is an entire level at which things are all running by laws, by themselves, by various kinds of automatisms. That can be called Prakriti. Prakriti means the automatic tendency towards action. So this Prakriti, Kriti is related to that term that we are, to create. So that which does work, that which moves, by a kind of hidden memory. And because there is a hidden memory, there is a law to that particular action. But there is also something unpredictable in it. And that unpredictable thing is Purusha. That is consciousness. So the idea is that the ultimate duality, in a subjective sense, is something conscious and something unconscious. And the two are in relation. This is how the fall is described, that we were talking about. The fall from a state of being that is conscious has become in its fall, has become a being. Matter also is just pure being that is unconscious, and a consciousness that is separate from that but is trying to influence it to become conscious. See? So this is the play of the two. And Sri Aurobindo has that line, the whole wide world is only he and she. See? That is the play of the two. And as we were talking earlier, he genders it. It's a gendered play. It's a play of polarities. And this play of polarities is aiming at knowing their unity. The fact that they are one. But not that they are one in such a way that the duality is lost. They are one and two at the same time. This is the secret knowledge. To know that is the secret knowledge. See? And yes.
Is there any connection about Shiva Shakti?
Yes. So in Kashmir Shaivism, they talk about these two realms. In fact, they talk about three realms. The first realm is the Shuddha Tattva, means the pure elements. The pure elements is this domain of unity, where in its highest stage there is only one, but the two are in the one. And then through 5 transformations or steps, the two at one stage can become interchangeable and then finally become two. And then there is a certain second layer in which certain principles are created by which the two can separate totally. And then we have this domain of Purusha and Prakriti. So Shiva and Shakti, in a way, in this particular teaching, Kashmir Shaivism, mirror almost exactly what Sri Aurobindo is talking about in this notion of secret knowledge. But they don't necessarily say that the destiny of the lower hemisphere is to come back to a new kind of knowledge of the one and the two together. That is something Sri Aurobindo is adding to this knowledge. So, in fact, that is what Savitri is about. Because this knowledge of the two realms and the work that is happening in the domain of Purusha and Prakriti is the secret knowledge that Ashwapati has, see, in Canto 4 of Book 1. And as you'll see in Canto 5, he starts Canto 5.
May I ask,
yes,
if you could bring Nachiketa's knowledge that he got from death?
Yeah,
Can that be
absolutely
put in this?
Yeah, so this is another Upanishad. This is the Katha Upanishad. They're not talking about Purusha and Prakriti in that sense, but that Upanishad is also talking about these two worlds. Because that has a bearing with Savitri, because there too it's a colloquy between a boy and death. It's the conversation with death. And the idea over there is, what is the knowledge of death? And ultimately, death doesn't want to answer, but Nachiketa presses him, and there also it's like this, that victory over death. He presses him by saying essentially that who else than you can give me that knowledge? Death alone can give the knowledge of death, you see. And the knowledge is essentially two kinds of immortality. The immortality in time and the immortality outside time. And that's also what we are talking about with regard to the two zones and the play of Purusha and Prakriti and of the one above. So to know both, to know the fact that we have a soul that lives through our deaths, you see, that is immortal in that sense, immortal in time, immortal through rebirths. We are reborn again and again. The soul never dies, you see. And we have something that is never born. So that which is never born, to which the very knowledge of time is only a appearance. We appear and disappear as time. Time is the appearance and disappearance of that which never appears and disappears. To know this truth is the secret knowledge. Yes.
So, then what is difference between Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti?
Yeah, Paraprakriti exactly is that status of the higher knowledge where Prakriti and Purusha are the same. This term Paraprakriti is used in the Gita, and it is used in a place where in chapter 7, Krishna is saying that all the knowledge of Sankhya, which is the knowledge of the tattvas and all that, that is my Prakriti, which is what you're calling Apara Prakriti, the lower Prakriti. But that is not my true nature. My true nature is different from this. It is the same as the Supreme Being. So, in other words, the consciousness of the divine is one with the divine. This is shown in, say, Tibetan Buddhism as the embrace, the Yab-Yum embrace of the Purusha and Prakriti. They are one in embrace. And so too in Shiva and Shakti, in embrace. That is their higher truth. They are two in one. But they separate, and then Prakriti becomes this describable phenomenon that we call apara Prakriti. You can talk about the tattvas and how they operate through the gunas. They are automatisms because they are subject to the gunas. So that's the difference. That's how it relates to this. So we find Canto 5, this is the secret knowledge. That's exactly what we are discussing, is the secret knowledge. And Canto 5 begins with the line, this knowledge first he had of time-born men. Okay? In other words, this is a very ancient knowledge that somebody had. Somebody got this knowledge. That is Ashwapati. So this is the avatar of the person who opened the doors to this knowledge. See? Now, as a result of that, this person opens to the fact that the way we experience life here is not the only way life can be experienced here. Life can be experienced here as it is experienced in the higher realm. In other words, we can know ourselves as two and one at the same time. Not only individually, but as the law of our existence. This can be the foundation of life on earth. We can know each other as the one that has extended its infinity to enjoy the play of multiplicity. This is the thing that Ashwapati gets. And once he's got it, he must have it. Not for himself, but for everybody. This is the avatarhood of Ashwapati. See, he wakes to the fact that the law can change, and he is missioned to change it. He has to do something to change the law, to bring the higher law into the lower. And as we discussed, so this is his aim. His aim is, now what should I do to change this? And he feels that to change it, he has to invoke the power of that higher world to operate over here. This, in another way, we could translate into Sri Aurobindo's own life mission, where we can see that he received the secret knowledge himself in Alipur jail. That's where he received the secret knowledge. And from that point on, his life became one of trying to establish that secret knowledge here. For him, that meant the descent of the supermind. And for Ashwapati, that's also exactly what he's looking for. And for him, it's the descent of the supramental consciousness in an avatar form, the form of Savitri. Now, he doesn't know that at this point. What he knows is that he wants it. And his yoga after this point is to invoke that Shakti and ask it how it can be done. How can this law be changed? By going to that, what you call para-prakriti. That's what he's trying to invoke, the para-prakriti. So now we see the big change that has taken place from the story of the Mahabharata, where Ashwapati is seeking for an heir, right? Now instead of that, here Ashwapati is very consciously doing his yoga to seek that power which can transform the condition of the Prakriti. Okay? So he ascends into the different planes. He's looking for a solution. He's looking for a key. And that makes him into what Sri Aurobindo calls the traveler of the worlds. He travels the worlds, the inner worlds, the higher worlds, the cosmic worlds. He travels them to look for a key by which this dividing of the two worlds can be overcome. Is there a way it can be overcome? And this is what leads him finally to the pursuit of the unknowable. And he enters into the higher worlds, the highest worlds, into what he calls the kingdoms of greater knowledge. And this, we are not going to touch these realms because that's a different subject altogether. But it takes him beyond, when we are talking about the two worlds, it takes him to the cusp of the dividing line between the two worlds. See, he reaches the dividing line between the two worlds. What he would in his later philosophy call the overmind. Okay. So these are the worlds of kingdoms of greater knowledge. These kingdoms of greater knowledge that, in other writings he calls the overhead planes. That is, above our mentality, there are cosmic planes of mind not yet evolved. We have not yet manifested certain planes of mind that are universal and cosmic. And he travels above the human mind to those planes and ultimately to the highest of those planes. And when he gets to the highest of those planes, he is seeking for that power. Is there a power that can actually bridge these two worlds? But
Javishi?
yes.
I have a question. So, Canto 11 is the kingdoms and godheads of the greater mind.
Yeah.
And Canto 15 is the kingdoms of the greater knowledge.
Yeah.
Those are two different things.
Yeah, this is the kingdoms of the greater knowledge.
Okay, so the greater mind is like...
Yeah, the greater mind is just beyond the human mind. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And greater knowledge... that's
Greater
what's-
knowledge is right up in the overmind.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. So that's where he enters, and there he's looking for a power, the power that is beyond the mind, beyond even the overmind. So he's looking for that power. And that's where, it's so remote, it's so far beyond our consciousness that he's gone there with a certain aspiration, but face to face with that realm, the aspiration is getting wiped out. It's disappearing. See? He's forgetting why he came there. See? So this is what we find in Book 3, Canto 2. That is the Pursuit of the Unknowable. Then, Book 3, Canto 2. And I just read the first part, and then we'll move to exactly why this whole Savitri intervention takes place. So this is Ashwapati at the borders, of this other consciousness. A stillness, absolute, incommunicable, meets the sheer self-discovery of the soul. A wall of stillness shuts it from the world. A gulf of stillness swallows up the sense and makes unreal all that mind has known. All that the laboring senses still would weave, prolonging an imaged unreality. Self's vast spiritual silence occupies space. Only the inconceivable is left, only the nameless without space and time. Abolished is the burdening need of life. Thought falls from us. We cease from joy and grief. The ego is dead. We are free from being and care. We have done with birth and death and work and fate. So here he is, right? This stillness has fallen on him, on his whole consciousness. And it's wiping out everything. It's sort of whitewashing his hopes, dreams, meaning of life, everything. And suddenly a voice arises. See, this is a voice, this is Savitri, it doesn't tell us whose voice it is. It's like a reminder call, suddenly a reminder call. O soul, it is too early to rejoice. Thou hast reached the boundless silence of the self. Thou hast leaped into a glad, divine abyss. But where hast thou thrown self's mission and self's power? On what dead bank on the eternal's road? One was within thee who was self and world. What hast thou done for his purpose in the stars? Escape brings not the victory and the crown. Something thou camest to do from the unknown, but nothing is finished, and the world goes on. Because only half God's cosmic work is done. Only the everlasting No has neared, and stared into thy eyes and killed thy heart. But where is the lover's everlasting Yes, and immortality in the secret heart, the voice that chants to the Creator fire, the symboled Om, the great assenting word, the bridge between the rapture and the calm, the passion and the beauty of the bride, the chamber where the glorious enemies kiss, the smile that saves, the golden peak of things.
The book of the traveler of the worlds, smiling like a newborn child at love and hope. Indiana, her nature, housing the immortal's power. She was bearing the eternal will. No wretch needed for her luminous heart. No fault against the God.
Some AI has been captured by the spirit.
The automatisms of Prakriti have started off.
That's the voice.
So this is the voice that comes suddenly. It's a reminder call. You know, it's as if, and it's a very powerful passage. In a way, you know, Sri Aurobindo says that, you know, in his own experience in Baroda, where he sat for meditation and experienced the nirvana, he says that experience is so compelling that everything gets wiped out. And then he uses the term over here, the thing over here about the imaged unreality. The seizing of the imaged unreality, prolonging all that the laboring senses still would weave. The senses are weaving this experience that we have. Because it's our apparatus of knowing that is creating, as it were. But it's not just us, it's a higher mind that's working through us. But at this level, that's getting wiped out. It's just prolonging an imaged unreality. So he says it's so compelling that everything disappears. It's sensed to be the truth. But if you have a strong aspiration, because you see the thing is, he says, that's not what he started off looking for. He was already looking for a solution to the problems. And so that stays alive somewhere. Even if the rest of the being seems to be completely oblivious of it, something is not yet satisfied. And that's the voice that he hears. Now, this voice is very interesting because this voice is going to return in some form throughout Savitri. It's also the voice that Savitri will encounter when she meets death. It's very similar to her reasoning to death. That, you are, just like he says over here, only the everlasting no has neared and stared into thy eyes and killed thy heart. These two lines are the very embodiment of death. This is what Savitri will contend against, and exactly the next two lines. But where is the lover's everlasting yes and immortality in the secret heart? The voice that chants to the creator fire, the symboled ode, the great assenting word, the bridge between the rapture and the calm, the passion and the beauty of the bride, the chamber where the glorious enemies kiss, the smile that saves, the golden peak of things. This is Savitri. It's a prelude to what's going to come. The whole thing is there. So, Ashwapati, in this height, about to lose everything, his aspiration kicks in. And it's that which has brought him here, which awakens again. Yes.
Is this not the point where he has reached the summit of all the old yogas?
Yes.
And now he's confronted with this nameless absolute.
Yes.
And the line, escape brings not the victory in the crown.
Yeah.
Is very powerful.
Yes, exactly. And it's like he's saying, it's only half the work. Half the work is over. And elsewhere he has said, my yoga begins where many other yogas end. You see. Yes.
So is aspiration, is desire the same?
So normally this difference is made. See, these words have many shades to them, and it's how you use them that matters. Normally desire is used to talk about something that we lack. You desire what you lack. See? Because you lack it, you desire it. See? Well, aspiration comes from a sense of plenitude. You are full of something, and you are rising to a point where that can amplify itself.
Thank you.
So this is where he is, and then this is for those who have the book. This is page 312, book 3, canto 2. Even while he stood on being's naked edge, and all the passion and seeking of his soul faced their extinction in some featureless vast, the presence he yearned for suddenly drew close. Suddenly something comes close. A presence, the one that he really is looking for, the power that he's looking for. He feels that it's there. Sometimes you feel a presence. You can't see, but you feel a presence. Somebody's there. He feels that. That what he's looking for, that presence is suddenly there. Across the silence of the ultimate calm, out of a marvelous transcendence's core, a body of wonder and translucency, as if a sweet mystic summary of herself, escaping into the original bliss, had come enlarged out of eternity, someone came, infinite and absolute, a being of wisdom, power, and delight, even as a mother draws her child to its arms, took to her breast nature and world and soul. So this presence, see, and there's this image of something that becomes like a miniature that is moving out to the Ananda plane, to the plane of bliss, and then coming enlarged out of that, enlarging itself as a presence out of that, and taking the whole of nature into her arms like a mother. A being of wisdom, power, and delight, even as a mother draws her child to her arms, took to her breast nature and world and soul. Abolishing the signless emptiness. It's really interesting, this nature and world and soul, right? In fact, these are like, the kind of realities that, in a sense, we don't even experience. We think they exist. But they are realities, see. So, in fact, this is a little aside, but Kant will talk about these things. See, he will talk about God and world and soul as ideas, see, that we can never know. But it's like extrapolated ideas, that they must exist, but we can't know them. They don't have a concrete reality. But here they have a concrete reality. They are actually existent realities. They are beings. And the reality of those beings is part of the reality of this being that comes close. Abolishing the signless emptiness, breaking the vacancy and voiceless hush, piercing the limitless unknowable into the liberty of the motionless depths, a beautiful and felicitous lustre stole, like a light. Lustre is light, like a shine. It's entering into this vacancy, this something which was completely empty, that's filling with a new light, a presence and a light. A beautiful and felicitous lustre stole imaged itself in a surprising beam and built a golden passage to his heart, touching through him all longing, sentient things.
Devashish, are you reading an earlier version of the book? Because you skipped a line in the version I have.
Maybe I am, because this is the only version I got.
Yeah, there's the line. Gosh, where was it?
The power, the light.
This-
Imaged itself in a surprising being.
No, it's the line before that.
Oh gosh, I think I lost the page.
312, is that 312 in your book?
After a beautiful and felicitous lustre stole. Then we had another line, the power, the light, the bliss, no word can speak.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, I have an older version here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, this is a concrete experience that he's talking about, and it's very interesting, this experience, because lots of people who've met the mother have had exactly this experience. Because, her gaze often came as this ray of light that one felt going inside and implanting a image of herself in the heart. See? This is the emanation that she sent out. That stayed with the person. Some people experienced it concretely exactly like this, like a ray that entered and got to the psychic and just implanted something there. And this is the experience that he's feeling with this being that suddenly looks at him and he feels her turned into this ray going inside and connecting through him to the whole world. Because Ashwapati at this point is no longer a individual like the rest of the individuals. He's carrying the aspiration of the world. It's almost like he has become a cosmic being. So he's bringing the entire aspiration of the world to this height. And she's connecting with the world through his heart. A moment's sweetness of the all-beautiful cancelled the vanity of the cosmic world. A nature throbbing with a heart divine was felt in the unconscious universe. It made the breath a happy mystery and brought a love sustaining pain with joy, a love that bore the cross of pain with joy, eudaemonized the sorrow of the world, made happy the weight of long unending time, the secret caught of God's felicity. So this is the experience that he's having. And as he's having this experience, Sri Aurobindo is talking about the power of this being that is coming to him, and he is being able to see her for who she is. A consciousness revealed its marvelous front, transcending all that is, denying none. Imperishable above our fallen heads, he felt the rapturous and unstumbling force. So this is a power above the head.
Yeah, Devashish,
Yeah.
immediately before the lines you just read, there's
Yeah.
the line, a mother might brooded upon the world.
Yeah, that's there. Yeah, that's the line before this, right? Yeah, a mother might brooded upon the world. A consciousness revealed its marvelous front, transcending all that is, denying none. Imperishable above our fallen heads, he felt a rapturous and unstumbling force. The undying truth appeared, the enduring power of all that here is made and then destroyed, the mother of all godheads and all strengths, who mediatrix binds earth to the supreme. So here also, you remember we were talking about the triple soul forces. These are all the emanations of the mother. This is the one from which all these emanations emerge. And that's what he's feeling. And I'm jumping a little bit to the next page. The formless and the formed were joined in her. Immensity was exceeded by a look. A face revealed the crowded infinite. See, because it's you know, as Keka was saying, it's like infinite cosmoses. This is the crowded infinite. See, the sense of so much. It's not. It's like multiple fractal infinites. Incarnating inexpressibly in her looks, in her limbs, the boundless joy the blind world forces seek. her body of beauty mooned the seas of bliss. At the head she stands of birth and toil and fate. In their slow round the cycles turn to her call. Alone her hands can change time's dragon base. Hers is the mystery the night conceals. The spirit's alchemist energy is hers. She is the golden bridge, the wonderful fire, the luminous heart of the unknown is she, a power of silence in the depths of God. She is the force, the inevitable word, the magnet of our difficult ascent, the sun from which we kindle all our suns, the light that leans from the unrealized vasts, the might, the joy that beckons from the impossible, the might of all that never yet came down. All nature dumbly calls to her alone to heal with her feet the naked throb, the aching throb of life, and break the seals on the dim soul of man, and kindle her fire in the closed heart of things. All here shall be one day her sweetness's home. All contraries prepare her harmony. Towards her our knowledge climbs, our passion gropes. In her miraculous rapture we shall dwell. Her clasp will turn to ecstasy, our pain. Our self shall be one self with all through her. In her confirmed, because transformed in her, our life shall find in its fulfilled response above the boundless hushed beatitudes, below the wonder of the embrace divine. This, known as in a thunder flash of God, the rapture of things eternal filled his limbs. Amazement fell upon his ravished sense. His spirit was caught in her intolerant flame. Once seen, his heart acknowledged only her. Only a hunger of infinite bliss was left. All aims in her were lost, then found in her. His base was gathered into one pointing spire. So this is like a kind of a apocalypse, a revelation for a sudden vision that he has. You see, he sees this being who came as a presence suddenly reveals herself, the full scope of who she is. And Sri Aurobindo's lines are sort of fully revelatory of that. And you see this part where he's saying, in her confirmed, because transformed in her. See, when the transformation that she brings basically makes us into her, kind of forms her in ourselves. And what would happen? Our life shall find in its fulfilled response above the boundless hushed beatitudes. This is the higher hemisphere. You see, the boundless hushed beatitudes. Below, the wonder of the embrace divine. This is the multitude. See, the multitude that knows itself to be one. It's like we feel that we are one together. That's the embrace divine. And so he sees this, he experiences this. This whole thing is experienced as in a thunder flash of God.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah, in a blink of an eye. It's like a lightning. It's a lightning of Indra. Suddenly he just receives the whole thing. The rapture of things eternal filled his limbs. In other words, this vision is not just a mental vision. His imagery is fully physical, filled his limbs. His entire body is completely filled with this vision. Amazement fell upon his ravished sense. His spirit was caught in her intolerant flame. Once seen, his heart acknowledged only her. Only a hunger of infinite bliss was left. All aims in her were lost, then found in her. His being was gathered into one pointing spire. He becomes just a single aspiration, like a single aspiration.
Like a laser.
Like a laser, yeah. Now this is essentially, I'm reading this because this is the origin of Savitri. This is the being that is going to descend as Savitri. He's reaching out to her because he's looking for some kind of a power which can transform the world. And it touches the earth through him, you see. So it touches the earth through him. So this is what happens. And then, as a result of this, he begins communing with this power. And that's the next canto. And the next two cantos. So we move to Canto 4. Where the communion is taking place. He is now reaching out to her and saying to her that, you know, I know that you exist, and I know that you have the power to bridge our condition with your own reality. So please do it. I've come to you for that. And she says, let it be. Let the world take its time. The evolution is slow. You, with your power, have come to me. I'm giving you my blessing. But let the world take its own time. And he is passionately calling out to her. He will not take no for an answer, to put it simply. He says,
I'm sorry.
this is page
Who
344.
mentioned here as he?
This is Ashwapati.
Oh, sorry.
This is Aswapati, yeah. This is page 344. Heavy, unchanged weighs still the imperfect world. He's talking to Savitri. He's talking to this Divine Mother. Heavy, unchanged weighs still the imperfect world. The splendid youth of time has passed and failed. See? The youth of time is when we are full of enthusiasm. This is the early ages when mankind felt that it could achieve something, but that has gone, and now we are in this age where we are full of doubt and, tiredness, weariness, etc. And in a way, Sri Aurobindo's theory of time and of history takes these. We were talking about the yugas. So, idea of the yugas is not just large cycles; it's also small cycles. It's a fractal idea of yugas. So, even in our age, we can see, for example, if we see the period from the early 20th century, it was a very revolutionary period. We find new discoveries of all kinds being made. We find, new ideas about reality. Science is also opening up new paradigms of knowledge. The arts are opening up new subjective frontiers of expression. And then we are hit with 2 world wars. See? And by the time we come to the Second World War, mankind is full of doubt. It's full of, loss of hope. It's like we can never make it. We all the hopes at the early beginnings of the century are now lost. See? So the youth of time is gone, you see, in a sense. The splendid youth of time has passed and failed. Heavy and long are the years our labor counts. Even the sense of, when the days are not good, then your past seems to be full of a much longer period of labor, as it were. I've been laboring for so long and nothing has happened. Heavy and long.
What page are you on
Yeah.
now?
Pardon? I'm on 345. And I don't know, this is an older version, so I don't know what page you all...
What's the name of that?
Book 3, Canto 4.
Do you have the first line of the section?
The vision and
The splendid youth.
It's the same page. It's the same page, 345.
345, the splendid youth of time has passed and failed. That's right. Heavy and long are the years our labor counts, and still the seals are firm upon man's soul. See, the seals, this is what I was talking about with regard to the forgetting. See, a seal, which is something which has, by seal is meant over here like sealing something up, closing it down, right? So it's our deeper potentials of consciousness are sealed over, are locked. So these are the seals that are firm upon man's soul, and weary is the ancient mother's heart. O truth, defended in thy secret son. Here the ancient mother, here again, because he's reaching out to the divine mother, but when he uses the term ancient mother, he's talking about the earth. The earth is the ancient mother, the mother that has spent so many thousands, billions of years and still not able to express her own divinity. O truth, defended in thy secret son. Now he's talking to the divine mother as the truth consciousness. And that consciousness is also holding its truth. See? Truth defended in thy secret son. Defended, held back in thy secret son. Voice of her mighty musings in shut heavens. On things withdrawn within her luminous depths. All this is withdrawn. Yeah.
I have a question. How would this question comes out, and weary is the ancient mother's heart, and it says this is the earth.
Yeah.
What is the earth in relation to the divine mother?
So remember we were talking about the sacrifice, the Holocaust of the mother. So the earth is the inconscient, internalized, it's like the kind of cosmic kundalini, the potential force that has gone to sleep and is evolving. See? So the earth is the evolving portion of the divine mother.
Thank you.
Voice of her mighty musings in shut heavens, on things withdrawn within her luminous depths. O wisdom splendor, mother of the universe, creatrix, the eternal's artist bride, linger not long with thy transmuting hand pressed vainly on one golden bar of time, as if time dare not open its heart to God. It's like we were talking about these laws, these dharmas. See? You're holding on to this particular dharma, this dharma of ignorance. You see, the ignorance is this sense of separation, that this play of separation has gone on too long, as if we are incapable of actually manifesting a higher law. So why don't you open it up? Okay. O radiant fountain of the world's delight, world free and unattainable above, O bliss, who ever dwellest deep hid within, while men seek thee outside and never find, mystery and muse with hieratic tongue, incarnate the white passion of thy force, mission to earth some living form of thee. So he's calling on her to incarnate. This is exactly his call on her. He has found the fact that to bridge these two worlds, to incarnate, to fulfill the secret knowledge that he has found, this power itself must do it. This is, in other words, what he's saying is that the power that has created the duality has to overcome the duality. And this is the power, the supramental power that holds the two worlds separate. The supramental power must bridge the two worlds. So, how can she bridge the two worlds? And this is the beauty of it. He's not saying that do it by your power. He's saying mission to earth some form of thee. In other words, the incarnation. This is again when we are talking about the incarnation. Something that will take the form of the human, of the creature of earth. You know, we were talking the son of man, to take the form of the daughter of man. And in that form, make the transformation happen. Make it happen in the form of the earth. See? Not from above, but from within.
And by doing so, it would be an example for all
Exactly.
humanity.
Yeah, open it up for all of humanity. Because open it up down to the cells for all of humanity. See? Make it a potential, not just a potential in consciousness, but a potential in body. Ultimately, that's what it is. It has to be in the physical. Mission to earth some living form of thee. One moment fill with thy eternity. Let thy infinity in one body live. All knowledge wrap one mind in seas of light. All love throb single in one human heart. Immortal, treading the earth with mortal feet, all heaven's beauty crowd in earthly limbs. Omnipotence girdle with the power of God, movements and moments of a mortal will. Pack with the eternal might one human hour, and with one gesture change all future time. Let a great word be spoken from the heights, and one great act unlock the doors of fate. So this is his call for the incarnation, for the taking on of a body that will house the Supreme Being, the Supreme Mother, the divine consciousness force, Chit Shakti. So he utters this call, and the Divine Mother has refused so far, but the passion of his call moves her. He says, his prayer sank down in the resisting night, oppressed by the thousand forces that deny, as if too weak to climb to the Supreme. But there arose a wide consenting voice. And this is something that Sri Aurobindo is saying about the fact that all around us is a great cosmic denial. But if our aspiration is intense enough, there is a response that comes. And that response can override all the cosmic denial. The spirit of beauty was revealed in sound. Light floated round the marvelous vision's brow. And on her lips the immortal's joy took shape. O strong forerunner, I have heard thy cry. One shall descend and break the iron law, change nature's doom by the lone spirit's power. A limitless mind that can contain the world, a sweet and violent heart of ardent calms, moved by the passions of the gods shall come. You see this play of paradoxes. See? A sweet and violent heart of ardent calms. See? Each word is balanced by its opposite. Sweet and violent, ardent calms. See?
That's the poet.
All mights and greatnesses shall join in her. Beauty shall walk celestial on the earth. Delight shall sleep in the cloud net of her hair, and in her body, as on his homing tree, immortal love shall beat his glorious wings. A music of griefless things shall weave her charm. The harps of the perfect shall attune her voice. The streams of heaven shall murmur in her laugh. Her lips shall be the honeycombs of God. Her limbs his golden jars of ecstasy. Her breasts the rapture flowers of paradise. She shall bear wisdom in her voiceless bosom. Strength shall be with her like a conqueror's sword, and from her eyes the eternal's bliss shall gaze. A seed shall be sown in death's tremendous hour, a branch of heaven transplant to human soil. Nature shall overleap her mortal step. Fate shall be changed by an unchanging will.
No wonder she couldn't find a mate in her homeland.
So you see this, that even the description is like a goddess description. See, it's almost like one of like goddess Durga, you know, all the features. And
Also sounds like sound, right?
yeah, like sound. Yeah,
Nada.
like nada. Yeah, and yes, and this the and then the prophecy. You see that the entire prophecy. A seed shall be sown in death's tremendous hour, and the iron law. What is the iron law? The iron law is the law of death. The iron law is considered to be the law of death. So it is really, he is prophesying the overcoming of the power of death.
Actually, what Sylvia said, that nada, was very interesting. I was thinking about contemplating that. It's really that nada is the first sound, right? Which comes from nowhere, kind of from void.
Yeah.
So this, because Gayatri is also a mantra, which is like a sound that comes from the void.
Yeah.
That does not need any kind of beginning. I mean, it itself is beginning. So I found.
Yeah, it's interesting because also in a way, Sri Aurobindo, this is a mantra. This is Savitri in the power of sound, through the power of sound, and. He's also saying the Vedic seers, by the power of their mantra, created the future.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in a way, this whole prophecy that he's making is also a powerful word prophecy, a prophecy that really goes out with power in the words.
And it has an echo, right? Has
Yeah.
a dwani, it has an echo for us to become channels of that.
Yes.
As we listen
True.
to it.
I agree. Because, in a way, darshan. This is darshan through sound. Yeah. So this is the prophecy, and this is really this connects with what we are talking about regarding the Shakti avatar, because this is the divine Shakti who is telling Ashwapati, I am coming as the Shakti avatar. I'm going to come as the Shakti avatar.
So those Savitri is written as a mantra, basically.
Yeah.
And that mantra, when you hear it, like when I was listening to you just now,
Yeah.
the force was coming in, it was very alive.
Yeah.
So, according to Rod Hensel, Sri Aurobindo basically wrote Savitri as a repository of his realization.
Yes. Absolutely. How are we doing?
About 9 minutes.
Okay, so maybe at this point we can take a meditation break, just based on, because now we've come to the point where Savitri will be born. So we can take a meditation break, internalize this, and then come back for Savitri.